Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Always Before You, and I want to show you a very unique airsoft pistol. This is the Tanio Koba USP 40 Tactical SD, as you could see right there. If you found this video, you may just be watching one of my videos, or maybe more likely, you know of this pistol. You've heard of it. It is a very, very rare item. It's very unique. It's made in low quantities. And it's very hard to come by. It's considered, in most respects, a collectible. Even though it functions just fine, because of how limited in supply they have been over the years, it's considered somewhat of a collectible pistol. If you're unfamiliar, a quick Google search on this gentleman here, this is a person's name, and I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, I just say Tanio Koba. Basically, he's considered one of the godfathers of airsoft. From my brief reading on him, he worked with the Tokyo Marui company for the first iteration of Tokyo Marui's gas blowback pistols. He actually was one of, I guess, the engineers, if not the head engineer, to develop the gas blowback system for Marui's. And we all know that that's an extremely successful and just a tremendous gun, and Marui's reputation precedes them. So he branched off after that, and he kind of just does his own thing. He's only made a handful of weapons. He does make other things, such as grips. You may have seen those. Those are kind of common. You see Tanio Koba grips. It's something you see here in the States. He's made some inner barrels and various pieces here and there. So that's a little bit of the history of just what I know, just the basics of it. And let me show you this very unique airsoft pistol. Okay, here's your instruction manual. You get cool things when you buy like a one-off, and by a one-off I mean this is not a bigger company like WE or KJW or even Marui, and he can kind of just do whatever he wants. So here's a drawing of him allegedly, at a table, and I guess when it's your company, you kind of just do things the way you want to do it. So this is, there's no English here. I haven't opened this up in a little while. Yeah, there's no English here. But like with most airsoft guns, you can kind of get the gist of what's going on. And then we have another sheet. I'm not sure what that's about. And here is the pistol. And this comes on the pistol. This is a rail adapter for the bottom so that you could mount traditional rail accessories, because the USP rail is known to have its own kind of unique proprietary thing, and you can't put most things on this rail. So he gives you this adapter, which is very cool. And then, let's see, on mine I had ordered this. This is from this company, Lee's Precision, and what you can see in there are the remnants of the original, kind of like the sealing nozzle for the gas blowback mechanism that makes the slide go back, catches the air. This is designed to shoot just on duster gas, and it's really weak. This piece here, it just kind of broke on my first shot. So luckily, there's this company in the UK, and they make a CNC'd aluminum piece with a small rubber gasket around it, particularly for, as you can see, for this gun. And so I got that, and now everything works well. And then lastly, we have the silencer, which is a really cool silencer. Okay. There's a number of things to talk about on this pistol, so let me see if I can remember them all. First, let's take a close look at the pistol itself. Now, one of the main allures of this pistol is, particularly now, in nowadays, there's not many USPs left. Well, I guess there's KWA, But the only frame that you really see USPs anymore is in the 45, which is a larger frame than the 40 S&W or the 9mm. For reference, the real firearms, and as a consequence the airsoft replicas, the 9mm and the 40 Smith & Wesson are exactly the same. You can go onto H&K's website and you can see dimensionally and everything, same exact platform, it's just a different chambering. Whereas the 45 caliber grows slightly in all dimensions. I always liked the slightly smaller size of the 9mm / 40 S&W, and a number of years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago, USPs were a dime a dozen in airsoft. Just about everybody, it seemed, had, you know, a USP, like a 9mm variant. And as other guns have become you know, more popular, the USP has kind of fallen out of favor. It's still a great looking gun. A lot of people like the silhouette of it. Obviously it's still made in real life. But in terms of airsoft, you have a conundrum. If for some reason you want this pistol in that 9mm or 40 Smith & Wesson size, there's really no options. They're very, very hard to find. Most have stopped being made, and so you have only the 45 size frame. So that was one of the things that I was looking for when I purchased this. And it just so happens that I found this pistol, and I thought it was a mistake actually, because I got it not that long ago, and I read threads on these things on forums from, you know, 2008, 2009, and I just didn't think it was being produced anymore. But I happened to find one, and I thought it was just listed. It was on a main website, one of the major overseas retailers. I thought it was listed in error, but as it turns out, they happened to, I guess, find one, or maybe he still puts out a couple. So in any case, this is actually a very new pistol as of the making of this video. Let's take a close look at the details here. So as you can see, the trademarks are pretty good. H&K USP, Tactical. Let's see on the other side. Move that. There. Get some funky terminology there. Nice sights. Now, an interesting thing is this Tanio Koba, as you can see, comes out of Japan, but unlike Marui's, this is a metal slide gun, and the frame is obviously a plastic or polymer, but it does have a metal slide. It's a very weighty gun. It has a very good heft in hand. I'll show you there's a lockback mechanism. You can see that the slide is a kind of a grayish color, whereas the frame is more of a matte black. And that's just the way they are made. It's nothing unique about this one. There's a decocker. The sights, what makes this the tactical model is the fact that it does have a silencer. And the other part of that equation is these raised sights, and the sights are higher up to compensate for when the silencer goes on the end. You still have a sight picture even with the silencer in place. Here's your magazine. Again, cool stuff, because if you're into airsoft, you often see the same. Just if you have a KJW or I don't know, any of the major manufacturers, WE, Marui, I'm trying to think of the other ones that I've had. I'm drawing blanks right now. But a lot of the stuff, you just kind of see the same hallmarks from the companies. And it's interesting to get something from a company that's kind of like Tanio Koba, who's just kind of doing things his own way. So I've never seen like a magazine quite like this. Just nothing spectacularly different, but just unique. Just his own take on a magazine. So you have this kind of metal lip here. Pull it down, and you have to put in the BBs from the top, and they just freely drop in. Spring tension is good. It's not too aggressive. Interestingly, for whatever reason, you don't have the window here, so you can't see the first few are stacking up. There's the bottom. Okay. Let's take a look at some more of the things on the gun here. Let's see here. One of the unique things, let me open this guy up for you, and everything's a little bit different on this pistol. It's not conventional, I guess you could say, which is part of the allure of it, is it's just a little bit different in many regards. It doesn't have your typical blowback mechanism. It blows back, but it doesn't have kind of like that lock breech system that mimics most firearms. So what I mean by that is this barrel system here doesn't drop down and move out of the way like many airsoft guns do, which are mimicking the real firearm. It's always kind of stationary. So as I move this, you can see it's not really moving anywhere. We could lock that back. Spring tension is interesting because even though it's a metal slide, the Tanio Koba spring is relatively light, and what that ends up doing is, because it's a metal slide and it can take green gas, now that I just replaced that little valve in there, it really kicks hard, but it has a little bit of trouble going forward. Like, it does it, but it doesn't snap forward with the same authority that you find on some other pistols. So it's good though. I'll take it down for you here. We're going to slide the slide back that far. I'm going to pop through takedown lever there, and then we can just I should be able to just take this off. There we go. So a little different again, just everything's kind of proprietary here. Try to get some good light on that. Not a whole lot going on in there. Okay, here's the inside of the slide. Here's an interesting thing. The hop-up is actually that screw. That's how you adjust your hop-up. Rather than having a wheel, you just get a little screwdriver in there and you turn the hop-up accordingly. So slide. Here's your barrel assembly here. Spring comes out. Guide rod releases. Now, one of the most unique things about Tanio Kobas, and I hope I could demonstrate this for you, is the barrel. The inner barrel, is actually rifled. Same as you would find on a normal firearm. It actually has the rifling grooves cut into the barrel. Now, I'll ask you to do a Google search or do some forum searches, because the reasoning behind it is not what you think. It's not actually to put a twist on the BB. That wouldn't make sense. That would be like throwing kind of like a curve or a knuckleball type thing. In airsoft, obviously, hopefully we put just a very precise backspin on it to keep it going straight, but the backspin keeps the loft for a long period of time, or a longer period of time than if it wasn't there. So to put a side twist on something obviously would send that BB into disarray. It would spin totally off of the point of aim. But there is, allegedly anyway, physics behind the grooves, and they're not actually to impart spin to the BB, but actually to give a predictable course in which the BB's kind of tap itself free when it's in here. And I can go on and on about it. I don't know all the details of it, but I read it. I saw some diagrams. I got the gist of it. In a nutshell, barrels, of course, are a little bit bigger than BBs. The BBs have to be able to fly through. And so rather than just have a smooth barrel where the BB, even though it happens in a split second, the BB is going to kind of be pulsating in here a little bit. It's going to be banging off the side of those walls ever so slightly as it's forced out. The idea with the rifled barrel is that it hits those raised edges in a predictable manner, and that it always exits in a known way. So whether or not it really makes a difference, I can't say. I don't you know, it's a very accurate gun for sure, but I have other guns that seem just as accurate, and so there's a lot of debate as to whether or not the barrels actually make a perceivable difference. But it certainly doesn't harm anything in any way, and if nothing else, it's very, very cool. So actually, let me see if I can get a light to show you that rifling. Okay, let's see if I can show you that rifling. Here, we're going to look down. Let's try this way. Maybe this way? No, we do have to come up this way. There we go. Pretty cool, right? Very James Bondish. So there's your rifled barrel. And just another one of those kind of weird, different things that adds to the allure of these Tanio Koba pistols. So there's our barrel there. And here's your blowback assembly. Okay, let's put it back together real quick. Okay, we're all set there. Now to put this on actually is a little bit different. There's a tab right there, and that has to match up with that indentation. I can say it, but I can't do it, right? There we go. Okay, there we go. Now let's take a look at this silencer. Wow, this is a great silencer. It's just so cool. I've only actually opened this once before just to take a look at it. So let me be very, very careful here. I try to be as gentle as I humanly can with something like this. I'm not going to cut the package. After saying that, you're probably like, what am I doing? I just want to actually lift it up cleanly. There we go. So here is the silencer. Let's take a look at this guy. So this is only the second time I've actually even taken him out. Oops. This thing is really nice. And another really cool thing about this, check this out. You can unscrew this end here. It's got some nice fine threads to it. Real high quality feel. And then look at that, it's actually foam lined. So your BB is actually passing through this spring here. Just passes through there and has that foam in place. Very, very cool. Can't comment on how this affects the sound because I haven't actually shot it with the silencer on yet. But I would suspect if he's going through the trouble to put a little bit of foam in there, what I find with other silencers is that it's not so much that they make it any quieter, but they give it a different tone. Let's put this on there, let's see what that looks like. Let's see, is this reverse thread? Yep. There we go. Pretty cool. And then the whole idea is that with that silencer on there, you still have a good sight picture. Doesn't interfere at all with your sighting system. Speaking of the sighting system, let me take the silencer off. Speaking of the sighting system, it is adjustable. So right here, you can adjust the elevation of the sight. Deconker, very nice trigger. Double action from the first shot into single action for subsequent shots. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it, guys. There's a whole lot more information out on this pistol here. I'm not the expert on it, but if you have any questions, let me know and I could try to look into it for you. But really, I just kind of wanted to get this on camera. I noticed it was curiously missing. It's certainly has a reputation, and no one's really made a dedicated review, just tabletop kind of review of the pistol. So I want to show you the elusive Tanio Koba USP 40. Alright everybody, thanks for watching.